You are Locked On Warriors POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors POSTCAST. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And tonight, the Golden State Warriors have started this season about as well as anyone could have hoped. They win again today over the New Orleans Pelicans at Chase Center on the back end of the back-to-back, playing the same team in both games. After beating the Pels last night with the three ball, the Dubs leaned on their interior scoring and defense tonight to grind out the 104-89 win. Buddy Hield on the bench, scoring at will again. Buddy buckets 21 off the bench. He cannot be stopped. And the Warriors overall, they showed us tonight they can win in a multitude of ways, that they can win at home and that they can do both of those things without Stephen Curry or Andrew Wiggins in the lineup. This is a much different team than last year's Warriors. They're now 4-1 on the season as they head into the 5-game road trip. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, 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 if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed, and thanks for making us your first listen following these Dubs wins and losses, but mostly wins this season. You know what I mean? Make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Tonight, we talked about it at the end of last night's show. The key for the Warriors tonight was to start fast on offense. That's something that they haven't done all season long. And tonight they did. The offense looked way, way, way better tonight than it has most nights prior this season. They're getting buckets inside, starting from the jump. They were also hitting some threes, but really working from the inside out tonight. We're really limiting the Pels from their shooting percentage all night long. To start the game, they shot below 30% from the field in that first quarter. Throughout the night, the Pelicans didn't shoot a whole heck of a lot better. I mean, the Warriors defense really clamped down on them tonight, holding them to just 36.7% shooting from the floor. So the Warriors defense really doing a great job. Zion just 5 of 20 from the floor. Draymond primarily guarding him the entire night. And they did a great job. I mean, last night we saw Zion and Brandon Ingram combined for 61 points between the two. And tonight, it was a lot better. The Warriors doing a really good job of limiting their two biggest scoring threats. Zion, as I said, 5 of 20. Brandon Ingram was 5 of 11. So they combined for 26 points tonight between the two. So the Warriors did a great job limiting those New Orleans Pelicans stars from scoring at will. And really, everything just looked in control the whole night. I mean, the Pelicans did take a very brief lead in this game, but for the most part, the Dubs just had this one in the bag. The Pels took a lead briefly in the second quarter, but in the second half, the Warriors really just ran away with this one. And that's a very encouraging sign for this team for me, because last year, how many times did this team just blow 20-point leads, 15-point leads in the second half? That's not going to be this year's team. So far this season, the Warriors in the second half are just, beasts in the NBA. Coming into tonight, lead the league in points per game in the second half. 69 points per game in the second half for the Golden State Warriors on offense, and only giving up 51.5 points in the second half on defense. That's third in the NBA defensive-wise and first in the NBA offensive-wise. So, I mean, if you're the third best team at limiting points in the second half and the best team at scoring in the second half, that's a really good sign that you know how to close games. And they're doing this without Steph. Like the last two nights that they did this, they didn't have Steph Curry. They came back from a 20-point deficit, a damn near a 40-point swing last night, winning by 18 after trailing by 20. And then tonight, just cruise control for the vast majority of this one in the second half. And the Warriors, how about that? After they came out of halftime, how about them daring Draymond to shoot those threes? Draymond drilling a couple of them, leading the offense. We were so used to Draymond leading the defense, but Draymond was hitting those threes. He's throwing lobs to TJD. He's orchestrating the offense and running the defense at the same time. Draymond Green is invaluable to this Warriors team. we hear the discourse every year in the NBA. If you aren't a Warriors fan, you probably think Draymond Green is washed or mid or any of those other Gen Z terms I can throw out at you guys tonight. But if you're a Warriors fan, you know exactly how good this guy is and exactly what he brings to this table every single night. And I mean, it's not always going to show up in the box score. Tonight was a more of a fun box score, I guess, for Draymond Green than we've seen in other recent games. He had 14 points tonight. He had 5 blocks, a steal, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. I mean, Draymond was doing it all. He hit 3 threes tonight, shot 5 of 11 from the field, played 30 minutes. So Draymond really did it all, and it did show up in the box score a little bit tonight. But, I mean, even that doesn't speak to what Draymond did in this game. He was everywhere. He's pushing guys out. He's coaching on the floor, pushing guys out on defense to make sure they get out to the perimeter and guard the right guy and rotate properly. And offensive wise, he's setting screens, telling people when to come, when to cut, when to pass. Like he's really the coach on the floor for the Warriors. He's doing it all out there, and he's invaluable, just absolutely invaluable to this team. The way he was looking to get his own shot, looking to score in the second half when the Pelicans were just daring him to, and he made them play him honest. He made them start closing out on that 3-point shot. He made them start, actually playing defense on him. Draymond being the aggressor on offense is something we haven't seen from him in a while, not something we're used to seeing from him at this stage in his career. But don't forget, Draymond Green used to be this guy. Like, he used to be able to drill threes with the best of them. I mean, not Klay Thompson or Steph Curry rate, but as far as big men go, Draymond was one of the better 3-point shooting big men in the league for a long time. Last year, he also kind of got back to that a little bit, 39.5% shooting on the 3 ball last year for Draymond Green. So he did take a big step forward last year after kind of falling off the face of the planet from downtown earlier, a couple seasons before that. But looks like Draymond's going to have another nice season from 3-point land, and it really helped out the Warriors tonight. This was a masterclass on defense, though. I mean, the Warriors limiting the Pelicans to 36.7% shooting from the floor and 30.6% from 3. The Warriors did a phenomenal job on defense, and especially against a team that's bigger than them. Interior-wise, the Warriors did a great job just bodying up on guys. And Kaminga played some really active defense tonight. I really enjoyed watching Jonathan Kaminga play the game that he had tonight. I think this was the best he has looked, and that's coming off of how he looked last night, which was pretty dang good again. And this is right after we had that big discussion of how does Jonathan Kaminga fit in on this team. Now, I will say he's looked a lot better these last 2 games, but I also am going to point out that Steph Curry has not been in the Warriors offense these last 2 games. So I'm not entirely convinced that Jonathan Kaminga is the best running mate with Steph Curry on the court. Now, that we have plenty of time to change that. Guy's 22 years old, but I have not seen enough growth from Kaminga in the IQ department in these last couple of years for how often he is on the court with Steph. And in the non-Steph minutes last year, that was when Kaminga was most effective, when the Warriors basically just said, here's the ball, we're going to set some high pick and rolls for you, and you're going to run at the rim at 100 miles an hour and just score. Just get to the bucket or the free throw line and just try and crash down into the paint. And you can't really do that relentlessly when Steph Curry's out there. There's a little more nuance to the Warriors offense, some more moving parts, some off-ball screens, more spacing. All those things are much more prevalent when Steph Curry is in this Warriors lineup versus when he's not. And Jonathan Kaminga is going to need to learn how to actually play within the system of the Warriors offense and not just go out and be a freak of nature athlete who's incredibly athletic and can jump over everybody and run by you. And I mean, there's no debate about how good of an athlete Jonathan Kaminga is and how talented, the raw talent is there. Did you see that move that he had in the fourth quarter? That, oh my God, on that drive, I don't remember who was guarding him on the play, but he just made him look just silly like that. Fitz called it a ghost move, but it was like he faked left and then went back right and just left the defender standing absolutely just dead in his tracks, stopped still. And Kaminga just, I mean, looked so good. It was Brandon Ingram on defense, who isn't the worst defender in the world. It made Fitz and Buki absolutely lose their minds. Made Steve Kerr make that ooh face on the sideline. So, I mean, we know what Jonathan Kaminga can do. He can jump out of the gym, that F1 speed, as Kalena Azubuike loves to call it. But I need to see him do this with Steph Curry out there on the court. That's the next step for Jonathan Kaminga. We did see a little bit of that jumper that we've been talking about that he needs to develop. He doesn't need to hit threes. If Kaminga can turn that little mid-range jumper that he's got into a more consistent shot, he can really be another type of player. I mean, just unbelievable athleticism, but you got to have something to make the defense stay honest and not just gap you every single time that you got the ball and you put it on the deck. So the Warriors overall tonight, though, a great team win. They look phenomenal. They're 4-1 through 5 games this season. You finish with a winning homestand for your first homestand at Chase Center, which I think is a big mental check to check off that checklist after the way last year went at home. So great start at home. You got a nice start on the road with those couple wins over Utah and Portland, and now you hit the road again. The Warriors going to face off with Dylan the Villain in Houston and playing the Houston Rockets. So the Golden State Warriors will look to carry this defense on this road trip with them. And that was really the catalyst for how they played last year at the end of the season when they really took a step forward. And they're going to need to continue to repeat that defense this year, especially while Steph Curry's out. It's the only way that the Warriors are going to continue to win games, but it's very repeatable. This is a very doable thing that the Warriors can replicate. They can keep playing team defense. You got to figure out a way to keep these turnovers down, man. I mean, it is every single night that was other than last night, when they only had 7, but 13 turnovers for the Warriors. They did have the majority of those in the first half. So second half Warriors, again, just another piece of evidence for how solid this team has been in the second half. That I don't have an exact number. I forgot to keep track of those first half turnovers for you guys, but I do know that they had at least 7 or 8 of them in that first half and finished with 13. So definitely calm down in that second half on the turnovers. And that's really all they needed to do to start pulling away from the Pelicans with how good they were playing on defense. The Warriors also shooting 47% from the floor. So they were doing their thing out there as well and really doing it in the paint inside. Let's talk about that next on the Locked On Warriors postcast. The Warriors, I mean, they didn't really shoot a ton of threes tonight. We're used to them being the high-flying offense, scoring $120 plus a night. Tonight, not so much. They hold their opponent to double digits. The Warriors' first team to 100 wins was pretty much what we saw tonight. And how they do it offensively in the paint. Let's get into that. It's been a while since the Warriors have had a game like this. And that's next on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Today's show is sponsored by Gametime. I love live events, from concerts to sporting events and everything in between, and I rely on Gametime to get my tickets. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And I also love the all-in pricing feature. Toggling this feature on shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Gametime also gives customers the lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. And with Gametime ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service ticketing policy in the industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Receipt of copy does not constitute an order. Terms apply. Again, create an account, LOCKEDONNBA. For $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Tonight, the Warriors, a nice dominant win over the New Orleans Pelicans. They sweep the baseball series. I know that's not the term we usually use in basketball, but it's the baseball series. So we're going to use the term sweep. We're also not going to go into anything else happening in baseball series around the country tonight. We're just not going to do that. The Golden State Warriors, the only thing that my mind is fixated on right now, and they won tonight. A very impressive win, 104-89. Very impressive start to the season for the Dubs. And one of the things that I thought was very, very, very telling about the win tonight was that the Warriors won this game in a way that we haven't seen them win this year so far. Through the defense has been pretty good, but the interior scoring, that was a big deal tonight for the Warriors. I mean, they really took it to the Pels. They beat them up on the inside, and that is not what I expected when these two teams were matching up with big Zion Williamson down there. And I mean, you got Tice down there too. I mean, the Pelicans are a big team, big bodies on the Pelicans. And the Warriors, they just don't care. They got big hearts, man. That matters more, apparently, because it's a 56-34 point in the paint differential for the Warriors. And again, that's a massive, massive difference. It's a 22-point difference for the Warriors, who are one of the smaller teams in the NBA. They were, I mean, beating up other opponents in the paint. That's not what this team is supposed to do. And I mean, you look at what Trayce Jackson-Davis was doing tonight, and this guy was all over the place, catching lobs. He was running in the break. He was doing a whole lot. Catching that, heard fits with the touchdown call when Draymond Green found Trayce Jackson-Davis streaking down the court and dropped back like Brock Purdy and delivered a nice, like 30-yard pass down to the other end of the court, and a nice dunk for TJD. Scary landing on the play, but he was able to escape unharmed. But Trayce Jackson-Davis, a really solid night for him as well. He went 7 for 9 from the field. This guy has been really solid for the Warriors. 15 points, 1 rebound shy of a double-double. He had 9 boards. He had a couple assists as well, and a block. That block was pretty emphatic, man. That was fun. But Trayce Jackson-Davis really giving the Warriors some good run in 20 minutes, and he's been a nice anchor in the middle for the Warriors. And he's in the starting lineup, but he's not getting starter-like minutes, and he doesn't fit in all the Warriors rotations and in all of their different lineups that they're going to throw at you with their, they said it was a 12-man rotation, but with Lindy Waters playing how he is, I think you got to make that a 13-man rotation at this point. Lindy did not replicate what he did last night. Tonight, he only had 3 points tonight and 1 of 5 shooting. Did get 30 minutes of run, 3 assists. He was doing a little bit of everything, a steal, a block, didn't turn the ball over. So still did all the other little things, but, you can only have one Lindy Waters, the third legacy game, and that was last night, not tonight. So, but Trayce Jackson-Davis, Draymond Green, the Warriors bigs on the interior. Draymond and Trayce Jackson-Davis combined for 29 points tonight, just under 30. And for a while, they were leading the Warriors in scoring, those two guys were. So it's been a while since the Warriors have had a game like this, where you're working inside out, and it felt like some old school basketball, where you're going to just grit and grind your way to a win. And the Warriors playing defense, forcing steals. Again, not a ton of steals tonight for the Warriors. They had 5 steals, 9 blocks, however. So the blocks took a little bit of an uptick. The steals, a lot less than the Warriors have been pouring in through these first few games of the season. They lead the NBA in steals per game, but tonight, well below that average. But one thing that they did really well, assists, more than 30 assists again tonight. When the Warriors get 30 assists, they usually win the whatever game they're playing, and they dates back for several years. When the Warriors share the ball, good things happen. So the Warriors doing it with points in the paint, as I said tonight, and with that many points in the paint. I mean, that's really surprising to me, because the Warriors only scored 104 points, and with 156 of them coming in the paint, that's more than. It's about half of your points. It's what, just under half, more than half. It's under half, more than half. I can't, man, math is not my strong suit. More than half your points coming in the paint. And for the Warriors, that's different than what they normally do, because 45% of their points usually come from beyond the 3-point line. So, I mean, usually these guys are chucking it up from distance to get their points. Do it a completely different way tonight. And that's a really good sign, because last year, it felt like the Warriors had one way to win a game, maybe 2 different ways to win a game. You needed Steph to be Steph. You needed Steph to go get 30. You needed Kaminga to probably get 20. And you needed some other guys to pitch in somewhere along the way, and you needed the defense to step up. This Warriors team, you don't need Steph to go out and score 30 to win. You don't need Buddy Hield to catch fire and go 7 of 7 from 3-point land to win. You don't need that. Like, you can win this game with Trayce Jackson-Davis and Draymond Green battering away inside, with Brandon Podziemski going out and doing a little bit of everything, being Mr. Great Connector with assists and rebounds, and hopefully he's okay after he took that shot late in this one, hit the deck pretty hard. I'm hoping Potts is going to be okay. He seemed like he was all right, got up and walked off the court after laying down on the floor for a couple minutes, had to take a brief timeout, but it just looked like he was a little shaken up. Doesn't look like a long-term thing for Podziemski. But point being, the Warriors really have so many different options. You're missing your 2 best players And the last two nights, it didn't even look like it. Like there were points in time watching these last two games where you're like kind of forgetting that this is still Steph Curry's team. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that we're going to forget the gravity that Steph has on the Warriors. I'm not saying that, but this team looks like it is functioning without one of the greatest players of all time, the greatest Warrior of all time. And he's still, not at the all-time peak of his powers, but Steph, pretty damn good still. All NBA point guard. He is still one of the best players, the best three-point shooter in the league. And you're forgetting that this guy is the main go-to guy on this team when you're watching Buddy Hield and Brandon Pajemski and Draymond Green and all these other guys running around, really impacting the game, leading the Warriors to wins. It's the way that this team has been able to play with the absence of not just one, but two stars, because you're also missing Andrew Wiggins. And that is insane that this team is looking as good as it is without their superstars. And you do have a tough road trip coming up. So maybe the Pelicans, who are looking a little weak without their full slate of stars, no DeJounte Murray for the Pelicans. So you're going to have some real tests on this road trip. The Rockets, pretty good team. Alperen Sengun and Dylan the Villain Brooks. You got some guys out there in Houston that can ball. The Wizards, they're the Wizards, but then, we get to go see Jordan Poole out in Washington. Then you go play the Celtics, defending NBA champions. That's going to be a tough game. The Warriors, remember that game where they lost by like 50 plus last year? That was painful. Hopefully the Warriors can exercise some of those demons. And then you go and play the Cavs, who last I checked have not lost a game this season yet. And then you play the Thunder, who are one of the best teams in the NBA, were one of the best teams in the NBA last year, and have hopes at winning a title this season. And so of those 5 games that you got on this upcoming road trip, only one of them is one that you're kind of sitting in there saying the Warriors should win this game. All those other 4, the Rockets, the Celtics, the Cavs, the Thunder, those are real tests. And the Warriors are going to be put to the test without Steph, without Wiggins. We'll see how long they're without these two guys. If Steph should be reevaluated on Friday, if that's still the plan. And hopefully we'll get some good news on Steph. But if anything, I would say that the way the team's been playing without him pushes the Warriors to let this guy rest a little bit longer. Because why the hell would you rush Steph back when you got Buddy Hield doing what he's doing, when you got Lindy Waters III doing what he's doing, or at least what he did last night, when you got Trace Jackson Davis, who can, it seems like this guy can barely, he can't miss shots. Tonight he missed a couple, but this season he has just been on fire. Moses Moody, we barely talk about Moses Moody because there's so many other guys on this team to talk about, but Moses Moody very quietly shooting over 50% from 3 on the season so far. So, the Warriors have a lot going for them. They have a lot of different options right now. Jonathan Kaminga is getting better and better each and every single game. There's a lot that the Warriors can do right now. It's so flexible with a healthy Gary Payton, with Kevon Looney looking Loon looks great on the interior. He looks like he lost a lot of weight in the offseason. He's moving around really nimbly, and he looks every bit as strong as he did before. Brandon Pajemski doing Brandon Pajemski things, being the great connector, drawing charges, just being all over the floor, hitting the deck, diving for loose balls, causing chaos, and just doing what he's supposed to do in the Steve Kerr system. This whole team looks like it fits together really well. They all look like they know their roles, save for Kaminga. He needs to get a little bit better at that. He's the one oddball that seems to just be, he has some crazy level of talent and needs to adjust on the mental aspect of the game. But the rest of this team mentally is on the same page, and Kaminga is getting there. But this is the most connected that I have seen a Warriors team play in a long time, man. Since that 2022 season, the last time the Warriors went all the way and won the championship, that's the last time that I saw a Warriors team look this connected and be able to win in this many different ways. Even without Steph, you're still, able to score at will pretty much from the 3-point line with all the different shooters you got, with Moses Moody, with Lindy Waters, with even Gary Payton can give you some threes. Pajemski can give you some threes. Buddy Hield, obviously. Draymond hit 3 of them tonight. So for the Warriors, you got a lot of different ways that you can go out and win games right now. And that is a luxury to have in the NBA. Even without Steph, the Warriors still hit 13 threes tonight. Usually the Warriors try to hit around 20. If you hit 20 threes as the Warriors, you pretty much win whatever game you're playing and dating back for several years since the dawn of the Splash Brothers. And this is a different team now. Klay is left. By the way, the next time the Warriors come home, we will see Klay Thompson and the Dallas Mavericks and Kyrie Irving in the NBA Cup as we get year 2 of the in-season tournament, and that'll happen. I believe that's on the 16th of this month, November 12th, Tuesday. NBA Cup, Warriors Mavericks at Chase Center, the return of Klay Thompson. We got a ways to get there though. First, we got to get through this 5-game road trip, and what can the Warriors do to keep rolling? Well, I think you guys probably already know, but we're going to talk about that next on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Tonight, the Warriors dominant win over the Pelicans, and again, without Steph Curry, without Andrew Wiggins, how do they keep this rolling? I mean, this hot start. 4-1. I think this is about as good of a start as anyone could have hoped. Their one loss coming to the Clippers in the Chase Center home opener. Would have been nice to win the home opener, of course, but the Clippers are a solid team. They have only lost 1 game this season. James Harden looks pretty dang good, and so does the rest of that supporting cast down there in Los Angeles. And the Clippers have been one of the better teams in the NBA for like the last decade. I mean, this team is pretty solid. And for the Warriors to have that be their one loss through this early start of the season, I think that's pretty impressive. They're looking really good on defense. That's how they can keep this win streak going, or this stretch of good play going. It's you win 2 in a row. That's a streak. We can call it a streak now. So maybe the Warriors can push the streak to 3 with the win over the Rockets. You're going to need to play defense. You're going to need to pack up that Draymond Green in the bag and bring him with you and have him go play out of his mind like he did tonight. Be that captain on the defensive side of the floor and making everyone stay accountable. I mean, we've heard so many guys talk about it. Buddy Hield's been really a fun interview so far this year, talking about how Draymond Green really keeps everybody accountable, and credited the coaching staff with that as well. But really saying it starts with Draymond on the floor too. He's the guy who's out there. He's the one who's going to rip your head off first if you're making a bad play out of position on the defensive side of the floor. And he sees things that just other guys just don't. His basketball brain is out of this world. I mean, there's so many things about Draymond Green that make him who he is on the NBA court, a future Hall of Famer. But his overall best skill by far is his mindset, his mentality, his IQ, just his basketball, vision and ability out there on the court to see what's going to happen and predict and slide and get his body into the perfect position. He does it better than anybody else in the league. And he imparts his wisdom on the rest of the team. Everybody who comes here becomes a better defender when they play with Draymond Green. Buddy Hield, look how active Buddy Hield is on defense, man. I mean, this guy has had some pretty up and down years defensively in the NBA. I mean, I remember some years on the Kings where Buddy Hield was a wet paper bag on defense, and he'd always give you the effort, but it didn't always, turn into results on the court for Buddy Hield on the defensive end. We're seeing results, man. And a lot of this is, we're seeing the communication that Draymond has. That Buddy has with Draymond and with the coaches. And obviously it's not just Buddy, it's everybody. TJD is learning every single day from a guy like Draymond Green. And that's what they're going to need to keep doing to keep winning on this tough upcoming road trip where you got 4 of your 5 opponents are really no walk in the park, and then you got Washington. So hopefully, you can at least chalk up 1 win. But it's the NBA. There are no easy wins in the NBA. But that's how you're going to get there. Defense, and you've shown on offense that you can score in a multitude of ways. So if you just play good defense, offense should be there. The offense should be enough. Even if you don't have the 23s like you didn't have tonight, you can go get those points inside, even though you aren't the biggest team in the world. You got guys that play bigger than they are. Brandon Podziemski getting points in the paint like a madman. And Draymond Green calling his own number. TJD catching lobs and working off the pick and roll. All these things. The Warriors running in transition. All these things are boding well for the Warriors on this road trip. And the second half, the way that they have played in second halves of games, I talked about this at the very beginning of the show, but the Warriors scoring 69 points a game, nice, in the second half, and limiting opponents to just 51.5 points per game in the second half. Those are both top 3 in the NBA. And when you're doing that, you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to close out a lot of games. And you're putting to bed a lot of those worries that we had about last year's squad, who just frequently saw 15 and 20-point leads just evaporate. So the Warriors, I do like the position that they're in right now going forward. This team is in a good spot, and that's without Steph Curry and without Andrew Wiggins, and that is low-key a miracle at this point in the season for the Dubs. Well, that's about all the time that we got for you guys tonight. Fun show, fun win for the Warriors, and hopefully a fun road trip coming up. Dylan the Villain and the Houston Rockets are next, and that game is Saturday, November 2nd, 5 p.m. We will be coming to you live, as we always do, following the conclusion of that one. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you next time. Peace.